Geno Perez Adventures. I'm still Geno. Still my adventures. I got a great one for you today. I've done a plethora of research on this subject, and what got me started was I couldn't believe that the U.S. was going to put warships and submarines and Reaper drones and F-35s to block the border of Venezuela for drug trafficking. Wow, that's crazy. You have a full-blown war group in the Caribbean? What is that about? Well, I'm getting ready to tell you. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And I hope you like it, because it's a story that's not getting told anywhere in legacy media that I could find. But it's really interesting. So somewhere, well, 2013, Maduro was put in as the president, won the election after Chavez died in Venezuela, somewhere between then and now. And I had some research yesterday that in 2014, all of these people came together, and then subsequently I lost it, so I don't know if that's a truth or it was a glitch or what. However, the Cartel de los Soles was born somewhere from 2013 to 2020, and what that is the alleged drug cartel that Nicolas Maduro runs. But there was a secret, theoretically a secret summit, and who was at the summit? Hezbollah was at the summit, Hamas was at the summit, Syria was at the summit, Turkey was at the summit, Iran was at the summit, Nicaragua was at the summit, I think maybe even Bolivia was at the summit, and of course, the baddest of bad players, China and Russia, were at the summit. And God only knows, well, there was the FLAN, which is a terrorist group guerrilla group from here in Colombia, and the ELN. And if I get these wrong, my research is pretty thorough, but check it out. Now, don't take my word for it. Go check it out, and you'll see what's going on. I'm going to have to digress a little bit, and in my opinion, this is worth it. What happened around 1964? We had the Cuban Missile Crisis, and what was that going on? Russia was trying to put missiles in Cuba, and what did President Kennedy do? He blockaded Russia. Russia already had, when our satellites finally figured it out, or U-2s, whatever we were sending, finally figured out there were missiles being built in Cuba. We blockaded Cuba with like 100 and some warships, so Russia couldn't get through. And it was a very tense time, but Russia did stand down. Khrushchev did back up. And so today, the whole rotting Cuba still rots. But what I believe is happening in the Caribbean is a similar tactic. It's not just about the drug trade. A lot of it is about 50% of the drug trade. The money from the drug trade runs Cartel de los Soles, or the Cartel of the Sun, whose leader, allegedly, of course allegedly, I hate that word, is Nicolas Maduro. And so the whole thing runs under the auspice of, oh, Venezuela is just being screwed by the imperialist capitalists of the United States. Well, no, I'm sorry to tell you. They have terrorist training camps. They fund drug-related activities. They make a couple of $1 billion a year. I don't even know how many billions of dollars. I don't have that number at my fingertips in the drug trade. And what else? They're buddies with Petro? Huh, imagine that. Colombia, a couple of days ago, got decertified as a player in the war against drugs and lost $450 million in aid that would go to help rural Colombia fight the drug trade. Imagine that. The big boss in Colombia didn't seem too bothered about that, because I would imagine he's making a hell of a lot more than that being buddies with Maduro. Those guys, cumulatively, have put 40,000 troops between the two of them, like 25,000 from Colombia and another 15,000 from Maduro, on Colombia's eastern border, Venezuela's northwestern border. To what? To assure that the terrorists and the guerrillas don't do whatever they do? Are you kidding? It would seem to me that Venezuela and Colombia's border tensions and losing their certification under the current regime, well, they're bros. They're working together. Why did Colombia lose its drug certification? Well, it lost its drug certification because it had an increase in tonnage of 53% over the last 3 years and a decrease of 70% in bust of people that were running drugs. So go figure. Where are they running drug from? They're running drugs from the Cartel region, which is on the northeast corridor of Colombia, or the northwest corridor of Venezuela. And if you increased the drug production in Colombia to 270,000 hectareas, and a 70% drop in busts, how much money do you think that'll make? You know, so, I mean, it's a boiling pot here. The rest of Colombia is pretty chill, okay? Pretty chill. But there are some nefarious things going on here that scare me, and you need to know. Petro called for cocaine legalization and that it's no worse than whiskey. Imagine that. Well, if you'll watch him on TV, you can understand where that's coming from. The impact of the cocaine trafficking now generates $15.3 billion annually, which is 4.2% of their GDP. How crazy is that? Okay. So does he need the $450 million from the United States? Nah. Does he need to be certified? Nah. Is he still a bro with Maduro? Yeah. Yeah, he is. So I know this is getting kind of lengthy, but regardless, the Cartel del Sol, what do? Venezuelan military-led drug cartel. Maduro's role leads it. FARC, what do? Marxist guerrillas controlling the coca production. Maduro's role, he arms them. The ELN, the National Liberation Army, what do? They're leftist guerrillas also. What does Maduro do? He hosts the ELN leadership and infrastructure. Tren de Agua, what do? They're a Venezuelan gang that do human smuggling and extortion and then in the drug trade. What does Maduro do with them? He gives them a place of sanctuary. The Sinaloa cartel, cooperates in transporting his drugs. Maduro's role, he ships shipments via the Cartel del Sol. Hezbollah, what do? They launder money. And Maduro gives them passports, protect their operatives. Hamas, what do? They're a militant group using Venezuela for passports, traveling, and funding. What does Maduro do? Indirect ties with Iran. Iran, what do? State proposed sponsor of terrorist weapons and training to Maduro and provides the same to Hezbollah. Maduro receives weekly flights with supplies and intelligence. Syria, what do? Let's skip Syria, because Syria changed, it's got new leadership. Russia provides military advisors, mercenaries, and energy deals. What does China do? They're the largest creditor and lend Venezuela money at this point, $19 billion in lifelines. What does Maduro do? He attends BRICS summits with Xi in China, funds Petro currencies, and whatever he wants. And then Turkey, what do? They trade deals, they trade gold for goods, and Maduro visits, lets people do gold deals and diplomatic cover from Venezuela. How do Petro and Maduro collaborate? Border management, Catatumbo, Colombian troops supporting Venezuela security, drug policy alignment, diplomatic support, economic ties with each other, military buildup. Similarities, the U.S. Navy quarantine blockades. The difference, 1962 was nuclear focused, and it would appear to me that what we have next door is much worse than a nuclear holocaust. It is a worldwide, the nuclear thing is pretty much under control, but the spread of fentanyl and cocaine and all of that is just amazing to me. Now here's what's really crazy. I had a lady tell me the other day in Colombia that it's our fault, because if there wasn't a market, they wouldn't be selling drugs. Are you kidding? Everybody's responsible. Nobody's to blame. So get off of that high horse, young lady. And so there you go. That's, I'll have some follow-up reports. I don't know how long this has taken, but I hope you enjoyed it, because it's really important. It's not just about the drug trade. It's about terrorism. It's about laundering money. It's about everything nefarious, human smuggling that you could think of going on next door. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Remember, it's the first day of the rest of your life, and if nothing changes, nothing changes. And bad things happen when good men or good people stand around and do nothing. So get off the couch and do something. God bless.